I got you, people. So everybody said Trump America because Donald Trump doesn't want anybody else coming to America, whether it's Europe, the Middle East, China, all passport, visas, student exchange, all that has stopped. Everybody has to go back to their origin country and do for themselves in their own country. And Donald Trump doesn't want to deal with anybody else unless it's America and his people. And I don't blame them because America's been giving handouts to all these countries for years and we get nothing out of it, right? The American people don't get nothing out of it. You know, it's always hardship on the people. There's always saying, oh, that we don't, America don't have no money and we're going to cut back, but they're always giving money to foreign nations for aid, to help, to better themselves and better their people. But in the Americas, the government ain't doing nothing because of the money and shipping out. So Donald Trump is stopping all that. So now everybody hates Trump America. They're calling it Trump America now because Donald Trump is in office. But this was all Biden's doing and all these Democrats. You know, the country got messed up, but we had too many people from all over taking advantage of America's hospitality because anybody that comes here, we treat them like if they are an American citizens. They get the same privileges, the same rights. You get to buy, you get to own, you get to invest without any questions. But when the American people go out to these foreign countries, we don't get the same hospitality as we get them here in America. So I don't blame Donald Trump for doing all that. He's trying to put America first, and everybody should see it that way. You know, we cannot just give our handouts while our own countries in shambles, and we not getting the same benefits that we give to all these foreign nations or all these foreign individuals that come in. So America is blocking everything, all entry to the U.S. And all these wars had nothing to do when Donald Trump was in office. This was done while the Democrats were there in the Biden administration. They caused all these wars, and all these wars started while the Biden administration was there. And nobody was complaining about that. Millions of dollars every 6 months and every year was going out to Ukraine, you know, and to Israel, to Taiwan. We were even sending money to Africa, African aid. You know, we give all this money, our American tax dollars money going out, and nobody from money of the country shits money to us so that we could distribute to the American citizens. No country ever does that. Oh, we're going to send some money to America so the government could disperse it amongst its citizens. You never hear that, right? It's always America sending money, sending aid, or sending American troops to die for a foreign country. But all that is stopped now. Trump is not allowing anything like that to happen. And thing is that now President Zelensky from Ukraine wants to make deal with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is not having it now. He gave him a chance, and he reneged. He didn't want to take the deal unless Donald Trump gives him some security. I don't know what he meant by security. Like, he expects the American army to protect Ukrainian against Trump, or from everywhere you go. You know, President Zelensky could go anywhere in Europe and live. He's a rich man. Believe me, all that money that they send, you think that he spent it on arms, on the military paying soldiers? No. He probably got a Swiss account somewhere in Europe filled with money. He can go anywhere he wants while his country is in rebels, right, in shambles. You got thousands of people dead. You got women and children displaced because he continued this war for over 3 years. And Donald Trump doesn't want to, President Putin doesn't want to negotiate unless he gets reimbursed for all the equipment that he lost, because not only Ukraine was fighting, the NATO forces were supplying Ukraine with their weapons, or with U.S. weapons, using it against Putin, and Putin didn't retaliate and the NATO allies. If he wanted it to, I guess he would escalate, but he didn't. He kept it within Ukraine. So I don't think he's going to give Ukraine easy to any NATO allies or any American government, try to replace the Ukrainian president or the Ukrainian government. I don't think that's going to happen, Just like America didn't like where he put missiles in Cuba too close to America, Putin is not going to allow the NATO forces, all the American troops, to be based in Ukraine. That's another problem, right? And now we got problems with Iran. It's so hypocrite, this war that's going on, right? It's hypocrite because you got the NATO allies helping Ukraine with also American weapons, fighting with Putin. And then when Iran does it, helping his fellow countrymen that lives in the same areas, the Muslims, the Shiites, and all that, getting help from the Houthis, they got upset that Iran is supplying the Houthis to counter Israel. It's all a cluster of FK going on, right? Hypocrisy and everything. But war makes money. I'm sure they all got a plan. People got to suffer. Things got to suffer. The economy got to suffer. But the people that suffer the most is the civilians, individuals, and the army. If they ever go to escalate in a real war, the man and woman that's going to die just because our government cannot handle these problems diplomatic anymore, right? Because everybody wants to control. Nobody wants to have another one XL, right? I don't see the problem. America has nuclear bombs, and everybody, nations already scared that if they're not prepared, that if America attacks, remember, I don't think America would beat Japan if they wouldn't drop those two bombs, right, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? The Japanese never had no idea that they was gonna do something like that, right? They thought they was gonna continue fighting at sea, and land, and on air. But no, the Americans had a plan, and they didn't want to continue this war with Japan. So what they did, secretly, they planned to build two atomic bombs that was never heard of. But they built these two atomic bombs, and they dropped it in Japan. Like that. It was a surprise attack. They didn't knew they was going to drop these new modern age, at that time, atomic bombs at Japan, right? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And that's how the war ended. But if America wouldn't drop these bombs surprisingly, right? And these hidden projects that they had, America probably will not beat Japan. And I don't think Japan will ever forget that America dropped these two bombs on them, right? Because I wouldn't forget. And I always say Japan would never forget what America did to them. And to this day, Japan can have things that could retaliate anytime to America, right? Because they cannot have no nuclear weapons either. That's the only way they could control it. That's what America does, try to control other countries for not getting the power that they need to defend themselves. So that's why Russia has what he has now to protect himself. And Russia is one of the biggest nuclear powers, and then China. I don't about North Korea. I don't think North Korea rockets or nuclear arsenals could reach all the way into the Americas, right? So that's what I say. There's nobody in the world that has the capability of the United States of America's military might. That's why America really don't bother with other countries. But if he wants to retaliate, America will retaliate and annihilate anybody's country out there. The Middle East is always a training ground. Everybody wants to fight in the Middle East, it's all desert or whatever they call it, rubble, and they think those people are inferior. They just Nobody cares about these people over there in the Middle East. That's what every war breaks out over there in the Middle East, right? In the Gulf Seas and things like that, right? And America will always take the war to them. America will never let another country come into our airspace, to our territory, and try to attack us. Before that happens, things will escalate. That America will be there first. You know, by the time you open your scope or whatever, you get a phone call. America's already at your airspace, dropping bombs and naval ships and things like that. So America will never be caught, I guess, once again with their pants down like they did in Pearl Harbor when the Japanese got them in a surprise attack. I don't think that will ever happen. The only time that something happened like that was with the Twin Towers, right? Those 3 planes. And I think, to me, that was a plan that everybody already knew. The government knew that these 3 planes were offline, out of radar, and things like that. They knew that was going to happen. They hadn't let it happen so we could go to war. But, you know, America knows everything. Don't think that America's not involved in all these civil wars. America knows everything about everybody. Everybody knows everything about everybody. There's no such thing that we didn't know or he didn't know. Everybody, intelligence is so high, technology, everybody knows everything about everybody. So as it happens, people knew. You just didn't know it as a civilian, but the government knows what's going on. And right now, the world, everybody's on chaos. Everybody's on despair. Life is not sure for anybody, but I'm sure that life will still live no matter how many bombs you drop in America or in the world. There will still be life left. Thing is, we need a president that could stabilize the world and have peace, regional peace throughout the world, and trade. That's the only way this world will get better. And if Donald Trump can't do it, I don't think this world, America, will never be the same. Because every president that comes up, it's always a war. They finish with a war. And with that, people, I'll let you go when you think about that.